Hello, everyone. Welcome to Elite Weather. I am Mr. G, your meteorologist. I am a student meteorologist at Mississippi State University, and thank you for joining me today as I bring you the weather forecast for the next several days. And we talk about another storm that's going to be making a cross-country trek with severe weather as well as some wintry precipitation. We're having a live look outside right now in Minneapolis and St. Paul, the Twin Cities. Yes, a very nice day out there, a little bit on the chilly side. We saw some thunderstorms this morning. That rain was pretty heavy. It rained pretty hard early this morning, and we were right on the edge of where the snowfall was as well. But fortunately, we did not get any snow, but the snow was just to the northwest of us in St. Cloud. That area saw snow and northward, but here in the Twin Cities, we just had very heavy showers and thunderstorms this morning. But right now, it's just cloudy out there. We can see that cloud cover. Temperature is about 41 degrees right now, but you can see as we're looking at I-94 right here, downtown St. Paul. Minneapolis is back there in the distance. I'm telling you, it's so cool up here. You would love it up here in the Twin Cities. You just have to get used to how cold the winters are, but the summers are quite a sight to see here in Minnesota. Let's move on with the rest of our weather forecast as we jump into my WSV3 software right now and look at the radar and take some scans of what's going on across the country. All right, here we are right now as we're taking a look at our WSV3 software. This is my favorite software of all the tools that I use in my weather forecasting arsenal. This is my favorite. And right now we are looking at our radar and satellite overlays here, and we have our storm system moving across the Midwest right now, and we see our mesoscale discussion right here. They have that this is that watch there for severe thunderstorms today, and we're going to be seeing that down here into Texas, through parts of Oklahoma, all the way up into the central and northern plains, partially there. So parts of Iowa and Nebraska could be seeing those severe thunderstorms, as well as western Illinois. We already have some thunderstorms taking place up here in Michigan. This is just west of the Detroit area where we're seeing those showers and thunderstorms, and near the Chicago area as well. We're seeing some showers and storms through northern Wisconsin right now, and we're seeing some showers and storms taking place down to the south here through Iowa. Here is our warm front that's extending through parts of the Midwest and over to the East Coast, and we're seeing those showers and storms that have moved through northern Minnesota earlier today, and we're seeing some snow over here across the northern plains through North Dakota, as well as over into Montana, where we're seeing some showers and thunderstorms. We have a dry line down across Texas right now. You can see it depicted right there on the map is our dry line across West Texas. And with that, we also have critical fire weather across parts of Colorado and New Mexico, where we have elevated fire risk today. So we also are looking at some wintry precipitation over here across the Pacific Northwest. So Oregon and Washington, we're seeing some rain and snow showers. So snow showers up in the Cascade Mountain Range, and those rain showers down in the valleys and along the coast and into the Puget Sound. But in California, a nice day is in store across the southwestern United States. Los Angeles and San Diego, Phoenix and Tucson as well. Going to be seeing those temperatures in the 80s in the southwestern deserts today, but in the upper 60s and lower 70s along the southern California coast. But if we take a look at the eastern United States, look at this beautiful dry skies here. It is very clear, very nice weather across the eastern end of the United States. For the mid-Atlantic parts of the Northeast, a few clouds up here in New England, and some showers way up there near New Brunswick and in northeastern Canada. But we're seeing very nice weather. We have high pressure and control across the eastern United States. but we are getting some warm air advection coming up to the west, and some of that moisture is coming up off of the Gulf of Mexico. So we're going to be seeing some warm temperatures across the southeastern third of the United States today. Those temperatures are going to be in the upper 70s to lower 80s. Some folks are going to flirt with that 90-degree temperature as well. So we will be dealing with some of that warm weather across the east. So not everybody's going to be dealing with thunderstorms today, but that is the primer for those thunderstorms. And if you're in these areas where it's glorious today, get ready for those thunderstorms later in the week and over the weekend. All right, now it's time to move on with the rest of our weather forecast. I gotta preface everybody with the fact that this might be a little bit longer video today because there is a lot to discuss. We have that severe weather through the Midwest and the South, and we have some temperature issues taking place as well, and a developing El Nino we need to discuss as well. So we're going to talk about how that's going to impact our weather through the remainder of the year and maybe for the next year to come. So let's jump into our first map as we look at our current temperatures across the country right now. And we are seeing those temperatures pretty warm down here across the south and the southeast. If you take a look at Florida and then go up the eastern seaboard to about the mid-Atlantic states to DC and Baltimore, you can see those temperatures will be in the upper 60s over that way and lower 70s. But look how the 80s take over down across the southeast, and then across the Gulf Coast, we're seeing those temperatures in the 70s. Now, this could be warmer, but we do have some clouds and showers down along the Gulf Coast right now, as some of that tropical moisture is coming up off of the Gulf, getting pulled into our advancing storm system that's moving into the Midwest right now. So we have a few cool spots in there, but overall, those temperatures will rise into the 80s as we move through the daytime. It's still pretty early in the day. We're about the noon hour right now, so temperatures haven't reached their maximums for the daytime. We'll see that about maybe 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon, where temperatures start to where they max out before the temperatures begin to drop in the evening hours. And up here in the north, across the Great Lakes and the upper Mississippi River Valley of Minnesota and the Dakotas, it's still a little bit cooler because our warm front hasn't quite lifted over those areas. I don't think it's going to do so with this storm. We're not going to see those temperatures in the 70s and 80s all the way up into southern Canada like we saw with last week's storm. But this storm, I think this is as far north as our warm front is going to get with this activity. But we're going to see temperatures remain on the cool side across the north with those highs in the 40s. And we might see some 50s tomorrow, but today we're going to be seeing those temperatures stay in the 40s and upper 30s as well. Same thing for the northeast. Those temperatures are going to be on the cool side with a northwesterly breeze out there. Those temperatures are going to remain in the 40s. And out here to the west, we can see our cold front is right about here. So we can see those cold temperatures across the mountains out there, those 30s and 20s, especially up here in the north. But the Pacific Northwest, we have highs in the 40s along the coastal areas of Washington and Oregon. So Portland and Seattle will be cloudy and showery today, and we're going to be seeing it remain cool across the west coast as well, as we have a general onshore flow across the state of California. We have some attempt at warming across the southwestern deserts. It's been a struggle this year. When this time of the year, we can easily see temperatures approach the the 3 digits of 100 degrees down in Arizona and parts of and maybe southern Nevada as well. But this year, we're certainly struggling with that, with those cooler temperatures out west. So, and that is a sign of that developing El Nino that we have down across the tropics right now. So we're going to talk a lot more about that El Nino later on in this video. Again, leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you are getting valuable information or insight about the weather from these weather videos. So let's move on with our weather forecast right now. This is the dew points that we are seeing out there. So we're seeing that moisture at the surface coming up off of the Gulf of Mexico. Look how strong that is off of the Gulf. But look, if these are dew point temperatures in the 60s to lower 70s right here across the state of Texas. but we're also seeing those warmer dew points move up into the Midwest and into parts of the Mid-Atlantic as well as we move on later in the week. So you can see where our thunderstorms will set up and that shift in that severe weather will take place later on this week. Here is our convective available potential energy. This is what we like to call thunderstorm juice, ladies and gentlemen. This is the energy in the atmosphere that with that moisture and instability that can lead to the development of thunderstorms. So you can see that sharp line right there. That is where our cold front is going to be. So we're going to have a lot of frontal thunderstorms with this storm system. That's one of the reasons I think large hail is going to be an issue with these thunderstorms. So we're going to see a lot of hailers over the next several days because we hitting those thunderstorms right up alongside that cold front, and those dynamics is for those thunderstorms to go boom, shoot up straight up in the air. So that's going to allow for those water droplets to get tossed around through those clouds, and with that freezing temperatures in the upper levels of the atmosphere, that's going to enable large hailstones to grow. So we can certainly see the possibility of hailstones in the matter of 2 to 3 inches in diameter. So especially down here across Oklahoma and Texas, where you can see where we have the darker, that is higher Cape values down here to the south. So that's going to be the catalyst for some of those strong to severe hailstorms that we're going to be seeing across of Oklahoma and Texas. And this is what you typically see this time of the year over that area as we're coming into the busiest time of the year for severe thunderstorms down across the southern plains. Now here is our wind shear, and this is wind that changes direction with altitude. So we have a lot of strong wind shear coming from the southwest because of a powerful jet stream that you can see coming into the Midwest here, and we have high pressure out here over the southeast, and that is bringing a southwest or southeasterly component at the surface. So we're seeing wind changing direction with altitude. So we have a southeasterly flow and then a southwesterly flow. That is going to make for twisting in the atmosphere. That is going to give us the ingredients for supercell thunderstorms. So we're going to be seeing rotating thunderstorms that can lead to the development of tornadoes and water spouts, water spouts over water, but tornadoes and funnel clouds as well. So there is those ingredients right there coming together across the upper Midwest and parts of the middle Mississippi River Valley, in the Midwest into parts of the Mid-South, where we can see the potential for tornadoes and damaging winds, large hail, heavy rainfall. So we're going to see torrential downpours that can lead to some minor flooding and flash flooding as well. Now here we are as we take a look at our summer temperatures. Now we have El Nino developing, and what could very well be a super El Nino because we are seeing temperatures down across the Nino 3.4 region across the tropics, where it is 10 degrees above average right now, down at about the 500-foot level below the water surface. So a very strong El Nino that's still developing. This could be a record El Nino. We just had a record La Nina that lasted 2 consecutive winters for the first time ever. So we could see an equally strong El Nino that's going to rival the 1998 El Nino that could actually surpass the 98 El Nino. I remember as a child the 1982-83 El Nino living in Southern California where I grew up. I remember that El Nino. I've never seen it rain like that before anywhere. And I lived in Florida, and I've lived in Texas. I lived in a lot of places that's used to getting thunderstorms and heavy rainfall. And I will never forget the 82-83 El Nino. That kind of opened the door for me to want to be a meteorologist. That kind of sparked my love for the weather, and ever since then it was off to the races. But here we are as we look at what we're going to be seeing for the June through August period for the summer with that developing El Nino, and we're going to be highly above average across the northern plains and the northern tier of the country. So that will mean a very hot summer for the upper Midwest and into the Great Lakes. But look at this, cooler than average down across the southeast. So that is going to be a lot of stormy weather across the southeast, a lot of rainfall. There will also be a lack of tropical development this summer as well. I think we will see a sharp diminish in the amount of tropical systems that will develop along the Gulf of Mexico and across the Atlantic because of the influences of that El Nino. El Nino tends to create a lot of shear down across the eastern Atlantic and the western Atlantic and the Gulf of Mexico, but it usually has less shear over the eastern Pacific. So we typically see an uptick in tropical development over the Pacific and a decrease in tropical development over the east and the Gulf of Mexico. So here's what June is going to look like. We're going to be looking at above average temperatures for the Midwest and the Central and Southern Plains and the Gulf Coast, right here in the heart of the nation, above average, below average out here to the west, and we're going to be looking at about average here to the along the eastern seaboard for June. And as we move into July, look at those below average temperatures start to take shape across the southeastern United States up into the mid-Atlantic, but height way above average potentially across the northern plains, Montana, Minnesota, and the Dakotas, and then two parts of the Rockies. So we're going to be seeing it very warm across the middle of the nation and over toward the north. And we're going to be slightly above average down here across the desert Southwest. Now, what that could mean for the summer monsoons across the desert Southwest. I used to live in Tucson, and the one thing I miss about living in Tucson was the summer monsoons, the summer thunderstorms in Arizona. That could mean an increase in the summer thunderstorm season. Now, we had a record monsoon season last year, and we could see very much, but it had different forces driving last summer's monsoon, so we could see a different setup that could equally justify a very wet summer monsoon across the desert Southwest this summer, and we're going to be seeing it cooler across the state of California, will be slightly below average. And then as we move into August, most above average across the north once again, and that's going to continue even into the winter months. And that could mean a diminished snowfall totals across Minnesota and Wisconsin, the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, as well as the Rockies. We could see lower snowfall compared to what we saw last year, because what El Nino does, it steers most of the major storm systems down across the south. So those main steering currents will drive a lot of the wintry precipitation down across the south and into the southeast. Now, what that could do is make for an increase in nor'easters next winter. So we could see an increase in nor'easters because of those storms tracking down to the south and then turning to hard left, heading up the northeastern seaboard along the Gulf Stream current down there. So that's something that we have to continue with and watch out for during strong El Ninos like this one. And some El Ninos can be so strong that they can overpower what they typically do, and the weather pattern can completely flip. We can still end up with tons of blizzards across the north, and it being colder than average, especially if the El Nino is so strong or so weak that it's not able to overpower other elements in the upper atmosphere that direct weather patterns and things like that. So it remains to be seen how it's going to play out as we get closer to the winter months. Now let's talk about our current situation, and we have our big storm moving across the upper Midwest right now. There is that area of low pressure up there we're going to be seeing later this week up over Minnesota once again. This is the same setup we've seen time and time again this spring. This is about the fourth consecutive storm now that I've seen that have planted itself over parts of Minnesota and the North Dakotas. It has provided snow across the northern plains. Once again, we could see snow from this storm this weekend across Minnesota again. Not as much as we saw through parts of Wisconsin, where some people still got a foot of snow through Wisconsin and northern Michigan, Marquette and Sault Ste. Marie, Ironwood. We saw a lot of snow across those regions as we are officially in the top 6 of windiest of snowiest winters across the upper Midwest right now. So again, some more snow to add to that potential. Could it be enough to get us into the 5th? remains to be seen. I don't think we'll get that much. I think maybe an inch or less right here in the Twin Cities, but some places across northern Minnesota could pick up plowable snow, probably 3 to 5 inches, maybe 6 inches across northern Minnesota might be possible with this storm system. And we're going to deal with that severe weather across the upper Midwest, all over Iowa and Nebraska, down through Kansas and Oklahoma to Texas as well. We're going to be dealing with that severe weather across the mid-south and the south. Here we are as we take a look at where we're at today. We have our area of low pressure and our warm front moving across the upper Midwest. Look at it just near Chicago right now, and that's going to spread some showers and non-severe thunderstorms over that way today. But we're going to be seeing our severe storm setup right here at our triple point. This is our trigger. We have a warm front, our occluded front, and a cold front right here setting up across the Midwest right now. So we're going to be seeing that potential for our severe thunderstorms. This is where we could see tornadoes today as well, right here near our triple point, where we have that winds coming from the southeast here along our warm front, and the winds coming from the southwest along our cold front, and we have a twisting in the atmosphere right in this region right here. We'll have twisting, so we will see supercell thunderstorms, and we're going to be seeing our dry line down here across southern Kansas, Oklahoma, and that goes all the way down through the state of Texas. And we're going to be seeing a different type of thunderstorm over here. These will be more scattered thunderstorms, single cell, supercell thunderstorms that can be high altitude storms, elevated thunderstorms, low precipitation. I don't expect much in the heavy rainfall, but really big gorilla hail can be possible with some thunderstorms that develop along a dry line. We're going to be seeing some of those thunderstorms here. Let's get a better look at the southern end of this storm for Thursday, where we can see those hailers take place over Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. And here is our dry line right here. And the closer you are to the dry line, you're going to have that dry air behind this line here. This is the leading edge of the moisture coming up off of the Gulf of Mexico. And we're going to be seeing those very buoyant thunderstorms, because that cape in the atmosphere and those high dew points in the lower 70s. So a very buoyant atmosphere. So a lot of lifting and instability will take place in this area out ahead of our cold front here. And we have a secondary area of low pressure in this area that's going to provide twisting in the atmosphere. So a tornado or two is certainly not out of the question down across Texas as well. So here we are as we move into Thursday again. Another look and another aspect of the storm is going to be excessive rainfall. We could have a flash flood potential across the Ozarks. So across the Ozarks, northeastern Texas, this is typically fairly wet area anyway. Lots of grass, lots of marshland and grassland in this region, the Lake of the Ozarks, and we have that potential. And we have the potential here for flash flooding. 1 to 3 inches of rain is possible. So certainly excessive rainfall could occur as we get a bit more of that moisture coming up off of the Gulf of Mexico. And those dew points will be juicy in the lower 70s. All right, here's a look at Wednesday night as we look at the potential for those severe thunderstorms coming in just to the west of Kansas City at about 8 o'clock p.m. tonight. Future radar is suggesting that a line of thunderstorms is going to develop here across the western edge of Iowa and northwestern Missouri, and down across central Kansas as well. So we're going to start to see thunderstorms developing over that region. And then about 6 a.m. tomorrow, we're going to see those thunderstorms, a cluster of thunderstorms moving across Iowa, northern Missouri. Again, Kansas City is going to be under the gun for those thunderstorms, as well as Omaha, Nebraska, and Des Moines will be dealing with some of those thunderstorms during the morning hours tomorrow. So again, here's a look at your Wednesday. We have that severe threat here across the central and southern plains, parts of the upper Midwest as well. There is our warm front. We have one low pressure here. This is our main low, secondary low down here across the southern plains. And we have our big ridge of high pressure, our Bermuda high down here off of the southeastern coast. that is pumping in a nice southeasterly flow around that high. We have a southwesterly flow around these areas of low pressure. So we have convergence and wind shear that's going to provide the fuel for severe thunderstorms across the central and southern plains this afternoon. And then Thursday, our storm doesn't have a lot of push behind it to push it forward. So we're going to be seeing our severe thunderstorms spread a little bit east. So we're looking at them through the Midwest, down through the Mid-South, and the middle Mississippi River Valley, parts of the southern plains. This is the Ozarks once again, southeastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, northeastern Texas, is where we're going to be dealing with severe thunderstorms with the potential for tornadoes, damaging winds, large hail, and heavy rain and flash flooding. And we have a flash flood outlook across parts of the Ozarks as well for that potential for 3+ inches of rain. And here is a look at some of those temperatures that we are going to be seeing across the the northwestern U.S. And as far as this afternoon, look at those temperatures. Pretty cold out there across the Rockies. We're looking at those temperatures in the 30s across Great Falls. Look at Seattle having a 50. Same for you in Portland with some rain showers. Partly cloudy down in Boise. Partly cloudy for you in St. Louis. Salt Lake City with a temperature of 48 degrees. We're looking at that low pressure center there across the North Dakotas today, and those rain showers. We saw heavy thunderstorms across Minnesota this morning. We're going to see more thunderstorms continue tonight and into tomorrow. And then once our storm begins to pull out on Friday night and Saturday, that's when we'll see snow across the upper Midwest. But look at those temperatures in the 70s in Las Vegas. Cold in Flagstaff, where it's going to be 56 degrees because you're about 4,000 feet up in the mountains there. 69 for Los Angeles under partly cloudy skies after you have a round of morning low clouds and fog with some local drizzle in the morning. As we move to the middle part of the country today, here we are as we're looking at those warm temperatures. It's getting downright hot across the central and southern plains. 86 in Wichita, 78 in Des Moines, 75 in Chicago with thunderstorms. Some severe thunderstorms are going to be possible this afternoon and tonight. Mostly sunny down there in Memphis, 83, 84 in Jackson, Mississippi, 82 in Houston, 84 in San Antonio, under partly cloudy skies. But the winds are going to pick up in Dallas out ahead of our next severe threat. And those severe thunderstorms will move into your area overnight tonight. And then Wednesday across the east, we're looking at that 90 degrees across Abilene. So starting to get hot out there across West Texas, western Oklahoma, in those semi-arid areas, kind of desert-like out there near Fort Stockton, Texas. Near Waco, and not Waco. Waco is a little bit wetter because that's near the Dallas area. But Fort Stockton, we got Midland, Odessa, Lubbock, Texas, El Paso. That's the city I was trying to remember. El Paso, Texas, near southern New Mexico. So we have our cold front sweeping through there, that dry line as well, as you can see with those hot temperatures down over that way. Pretty pleasant in the Northeast, 73 in Baltimore today, 73 Columbus, 75 in Chicago. But poor old Minneapolis up there freezing their butts off. We're cold, 45 degrees with showers and thunderstorms possible. And then here is Thursday across the Northwest. We have those temperatures in the 50s again, Seattle and Portland, the Pacific Northwest. Some snow showers across the northern plains, northern Minnesota. But you look at Missoula, 52, 53 in Boise, 48 in Salt Lake City, 48 in Denver as well, 42 in Casper, Wyoming, 73, 75 in Las Vegas, 77 in Los Angeles. Finally, starting to warm up in LA, 86 in Phoenix. So again, the warmth is going to make another push across the Southwest. It keeps trying and then gets pushed back every single time they try to make a run with the ball. The defense is strong to the north, so maybe the offense could get some ground, gain a few yards down across the Southwest. As we take a look at your Thursday across the nation's midsection, it's going to be rocking and rolling out there for Thursday across the Midwest, all the way from Green Bay, Wisconsin, down to the Gulf Coast, Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, Little Rock, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, St. Louis, Kansas City, Omaha, Indianapolis, Chicago, Milwaukee as well, even Detroit. Well, not Detroit, not yet. But so all of those cities, millions of people are under the gun for severe thunderstorms tomorrow. Tornadoes are possible. Please watch out for tornadoes if you are in these watch areas. Heavy rain, flash flooding, damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour. Some of these storms can do, and large hail, 2 to 3 inch diameter hail. Some golf balls are gonna fall from the sky and hit you over your little head. So please take cover. And then on the eastern side of the country, woo! Beautiful weather across the east. Very warm, summer-like conditions. Enjoy it while it lasts. Thursday and Friday. High pressure off the Atlantic. That is called the Bermuda High. You can see Bermuda just to the southwest, south to the southeast. You can see the island of Bermuda there. There's the Bermuda High, pumping that warm Gulf Stream moisture off of the Atlantic, pulling that moisture off of the Gulf of Mexico. It's going to fuel thunderstorms for you guys this weekend. Stay tuned for those videos. But we are looking at that potential there for very warm weather. Detroit, 83 in Detroit. Wow. 86 in Nashville. Raleigh, Durham, 89. 90 for Charlotte. Charlotte is going to be 86. 85 in Atlanta. 88 in Tampa. 89 in Jacksonville. So we're looking at beautiful weather, but then all things must come to an end. Good things have to end someday, folks. And as we take a look at the upper mid of the Great Lakes and the Midwest on Sunday, dang, it's going to be cold. Temperatures in the 40s across the Great Lakes, maybe some 50s across the Midwest, Missouri, Iowa, the Plains. But we will see those 60s down to the south through Dallas, Arkansas, and across the southeast as well. But then as we look at our forecast, morning lows for the weekend, cold across the upper Midwest, the plains, the northern plains, those temperatures in the 20s and 30s. You can see that all the way down to Kansas City, Denver, Minneapolis once again. Gonna feel like February out there in the morning. It's going to be pretty warm out, nice in the east, the northeast. Look at those 50s for Saturday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Again, 60s. But then cool off across the mid-Atlantic on Sunday. See how it goes, 65 to 51. But we're going to be seeing those temperatures start off pretty nice on Friday. Warm up a little bit Saturday for overnight, but then fall back on Sunday morning. All right, here we are for the highs for the weekend across the Rockies, all the way over to the northeast and down to the south. Cold in Minneapolis again, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Those temperatures in the 40s. Woo! Biting cold. That's below average for this time of the year, folks. Should be in the mid-50s. We should be creeping up on 60 for average highs. But no, La Nina's effect is still in effect, even though La Nina is over. That's a little bit of what's called telekinetics. The effects of that event still lingers on until eventually it will wane with time. But right now, we're still fighting off the remnants of La Nina. So it's going to remain cold across the north, cold across the Rockies. But eventually, El Nino's effect will kick in as we get closer to summer, and we're going to be sweltering in the heat and complaining. My wife is not going to like this summer up here in Minnesota. She doesn't like it hot. So, but anyway, look at the south. Beautiful across the south for highs in the southeast. The Gulf Coast, Florida, woo! 90 for Orlando. My wife and I are going to spend our 15th wedding anniversary in Orlando in July. Yeah, it's already 90. Dang. Okay, so anyway, we're almost done with this weather forecast. Does it look like I'm having too much fun doing this? All right, here's our 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. For the most part, the National Weather Service believes that we are going to be below average across the east, above average across the west. And this is for, they didn't put the dates on here, but this is going to be next week and until about 2 weeks out. So we will see things remain a bit cooler than average across the east and above average to at least 70% chance of being above average out to the west. So we're going to see that cold and gloominess in the Pacific Northwest give way to warmth as a big ridge of high pressure is going to build in the west and a big trough in the east. So here we are as we look at that pattern that we are under or will be under after we deal with this latest storm that you see there over the Great Lakes in southern Canada. We got a big blocking high out over the North Atlantic, over New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. You see that big high there? It's a blocking high, and that is one of the reasons why our storm is taking its sweet time to get across the country because it can't. It's being blocked and or being shunted to the north. It will shunt to the north into Canada and go around that big ridge of high pressure. But in doing so, it's going to suck in a lot of cold air in this wake. You see the cooler air that's going to flood in to take its place behind that low pressure center. So cold air advection is going to filter in behind that, and our weakening jet stream sagging down to the south. The jet stream is all the way down to Mexico and the Gulf Coast, so that is going to open the floodgates for cold Canadian and polar air.